Okay, so I get the privilege of coming first. I'm going to stick to my 4 minutes. So what is the work that I've been doing in my career on the global housing crisis? Specifically, it's been in relation to planetary gentrification. In other words, where high-income incomers move into neighbourhoods and displace low-income, usually marginalised, minoritized groups. And that's kind of where I'm coming from on this. So the acceleration of gentrification globally is linked to the global crisis of housing affordability and affordable housing provision. And I think that's an important statement. So what my work on planetary gentrification has set out to do is to highlight the ascendancy of the secondary circuit of real estate and the globalized effects of financialized capitalism. Reinvestment in the secondary circuit of capital, that is the built environment or real estate, is key to this process. In the global north, but also in places like Dubai, it now trumps investment in the primary circuit of capital. So, for example, the sphere of industrial production. So investment in real estate is trumping investment in industrial production in the global north and in other parts of the world. But in other parts of the global south, for example, in China, which is kind of interesting, they're actually both happening at the same time because China developed a bit later. Industrial production and real estate financialization has kind of happened at the same time. So gentrification plays out differently in different ways in different parts of the world because of this. What's important is that increasingly elites prefer to invest in real estate in the global south rather than productive sectors of the economy. Residents of cities like Lagos, Jakarta, Istanbul assume that they're going to be able to find a buyer for a luxury apartment in the future, whilst producing commodities for domestic consumption or for export is perceived now as very risky in comparison. And that's become a real kind of trigger for what's been going on. So, planetary gentrification, a critical issue at Boston University, yes. So just back in October, myself and Japonica, who's in the room here, co-hosted a conference at Boston University on gentrification and displacement. What can we do about it? So what did we learn? Well, we learned that the process has escalated around the world. There are new types of gentrification that are really taking off, like tech, bio, ecological gentrification. Also, that resistance to gentrification is growing in the face of lacks of solutions to housing affordability and the housing affordability crisis globally, and that gentrification scholars, activists, and communities are increasingly frustrated and angry about the ongoing state of affairs. So this is something that demands solutions, but those solutions have been very difficult to kind of get purchase on. So I'd also like to say that in the run-up to this conference, I experienced Boston University not acting as a gentrifier, like many other universities are apt to do, and this was kind of interesting to me. It inherited some buildings in LA, which Gloria kind of knows about, and rather than sell them to developers who would evict a long-standing minority community, Boston University actually accepted an offer from Liberty Community Land Trust, a Black-led organization working to preserve affordable housing. So the university itself has been supportive of this kind of anti-gentrification work, and I think that's really important to say. Not every university does do that. So back to Boston, a study by the National Community Reinvestment Coalition ranked Boston the third most intensely gentrified city in the United States between 2013 and 2017. According to that study, 21.3% of Boston's eligible neighborhoods gentrified between 13 and 17. Certain neighborhoods, ones that we're familiar with, like East Boston, Dorchester, Jamaica Plain, Roxbury, Mattapan, Hyde Park, and South Boston, were considered to be gentrified already or really beginning quite quickly and rapidly to be gentrified. And there was real fears about how these gentrification processes were going to trigger off in the coming years. So gentrification, like globally, is having a devastating impact on affordable housing in Boston, leading many people of colour in particular to head out of the city and settle in more affordable locations. So, for example, the CEO of cruise companies in Roxbury said that housing prices have risen dramatically in recent years, while supply has gone down, causing gentrification in Boston like he never thought he would see. He said, "It's devastating, the effect on the affordable market for anyone who wants to buy or rent." For the small amount of affordable housing options that do exist, the competition is crazy. So one project received about 3,000 applications for just 62 affordable housing units. So imagine the competition for that. Boston is also experiencing something I worked on years ago called super gentrification. And this is just an anecdote. So a South End pioneer gentrifier that I've been talking to for the past year and who actually led the site visit in the South End at our conference back in October, emailed me the other day and he said, Loretta, the attached was found taped to my front door today. Change occupancy from 3-family to single family. Scope includes a full gut renovation, new framing, new mechanical, electrical and plumbing, new rear 1-story addition, new rear deck and balcony at 2nd story, new roof deck, new elevator, a new garage with driveway. This was a property that back in September had just sold for nearly $4 million. So imagine the extra money then going into that in terms of the kind of super gentrification process. And finally, just to finish off, so what's the initiative on cities? So we're a centre that kind of spans urban work across Boston University. Really excited by the interdisciplinarity in this audience, particularly here around the global housing crisis. What are we doing about gentrification beyond the conference? So just to give you a flavour, so our Urban H work on housing and heat is looking at gentrification. So the IOC has just partnered with Equivalents in Barcelona to co-author a paper on heat gentrification and an attempt to kind of conceptualize what we're going to call urban heat justice. The trends of gentrification and displacement are embedded in climate resilience planning. The vision, for example, for climate-ready East Boston falls short of considering the immediate and long-term future of social resilience or the social sustainability of people, of communities, not just about climate and its damage itself. Green climate gentrification is displacing historically working class and marginalized, often racialized communities. And this is happening in Boston as we speak. We're also working, and Japonika's here, on an open access book called Learning from Communities, Fighting Gentrification and Displacement Around the Globe, which is going to act as a kind of how-to guide or toolkit in the fight against gentrification internationally. So that's my 4 minutes. Thank you.